And good evening, and welcome once again to, well, what will be admittedly a very abbreviated edition of this week's New Comics Bitches! Partly because I'm just feeling a little bit under the weather, partly because this has been an emotionally exhausting night, for which you can thank Galen Hurd, Glenn Mazzara, Greg Nicotero, and of course, all the cast and crew of The Walking Dead. For those of you who did watch it tonight, wow. It's pretty fucking, just draining. So, I thought I might switch back to Mondays because of this. So this is me telling you for right now officially that I will be for at least the time being switching back to Mondays because Sunday night again getting crowded again. Walking Dead. When it was on kind of before. I didn't work, because I was out. I had the broken hand for a while, so I was out throughout like the most of the like finale, like the last, 5 episodes or something like that. So, but from here on out, for a while, we're going to Mondays. Some good news I do have to let you know about. Yeah. So that's... Yes, the official Assassin's Creed Ezio Auditore Gauntlet. See, it's just... No, it's button activated here, which... I wish there was some kind of, little mechanism that, you could squeeze your hand and then it just comes out like that. And of course, it's plastic, so that nobody pokes their eyes out. Although you have to be 17 or older to buy these, which I think is kind of funny, because it is a mature rated game. So although you have all the Halo toys and almost like Halo Legos, that kids can get, so that's a mature rated game, but not nearly as much as Assassin's Creed is. So anyway, where was I going with this? Good news. Good news is I think that sometime probably this week or maybe next week we're going to have another Cats Comics Corner because we are going to be talking about. I decided to dig into the Vault a little bit. Not to do something terribly old, but not to do something terribly recent either. Again, this is more just kind of my exploration with her into the comic book world. So the next issue will more than likely be the very first issue of Doctor Strange: The Oath by two of my very favorite people, Brian K. Vaughan and Marcos Martin. I just really wanted her to read this. I thought that she'd get a big kick out of it because, Vaughn tells a story that she likes the way that she likes that kind of writing style. And of course, Marcos Martin makes beautiful, beautiful, beautiful pictures. So we're just going to kind of go over this week's releases, what I read, how I felt about it. There was nothing really bad this week. There was one that I didn't like. The only comic book that I read that I didn't like, and we'll talk about that in a bit. But for the most part, I had a really good time this week with reading some really good stuff. But like I said, I don't have the energy to really go into my full kind of diatribe about each and every issue. So I'm just going to kind of skim over some of the important parts, some of the, and just kind of give you a feeling of where I'm at, because I want to kind of wrap this up because I've got a lot of stuff to do this evening. So anyway, so let's get it kicked off here. So I guess we'll start with Marvel. Yeah, I have everything on one page. You know, I usually take up like 6 pages of this thing with notes. Um, so we'll start with Marvel, and we will start with what I think was the weirdest read of the week, probably, which was Wolverine and the X-Men number 19. I don't mean weird as in bad. I mean weird as in it's a good weird, but it's also just a really kind of weird at certain points. Now this, of course, you know, I expected this to come right out of the gate, dealing with the fallout of what happened in the last issue, in which Brew was shot in the fucking head. You know, easily the best character, the favorite character of all of the, you know, of all of the students. I mean, just so awesome. How awesome is Brew? And then to have him shot like that by Kate Kilgore, it was literally, it was like pulling, like reaching into my chest, grabbing my heart, and just watching it, and then eating it. So it does not pick up there this week. Basically, because of Husk's resignation, Kitty has decided that it's time for her to start finding some new some teachers that can work at the school to take her place. You know, the people that she has interviewing, I mean, it's so awesome, because I mean they just pull so many kind of names out of the hat here. I mean, you had Blade, you had Longshot, you had of course Deadpool, and Christ, I can't even remember how many others there were. Dr. Nemesis, which was really funny. I mean, just all of that stuff is comic gold. But then it shifts in a weird way to a point where it's like, okay, well, now here's Beast trying to figure out a way to save Brew. And, you know, that's where we're kind of at, no, I'm feeling bad again. But then, you know, you know, of course, you know, Aaron and, you know, Nick Bradshaw on art, you know, just keeps piling on the funny. And then, you know, like I said, you have these weird tonal shifts that work. But then when it gets to the end, it doesn't undo itself, but it's just like, what the fuck? What is going on now? Who are these people? You know, this weird train, and now who's on it, and what's going on, and how, you know, are they after the Hellfire Club, or are they after the X-Men? What's going on here? I'm not really quite sure how this is all working. So I give it a 4 out of 5, mostly because I was just kind of dissatisfied with the tonal shifts. But I mean, it's still really solid. It's a lot of fun to read. I mean, when Aaron is writing the funny, he is really writing the funny. So, I mean, I have to give it major props for that. Ultimate X-Men, number 18. This was something of a mystery to me. I thought that it was... There's a lot of interesting stuff going on here, but this deserved to be way more epic. And I feel that this was an editorial decision. I felt that by kind of setting up where they're going to go from here outside of United We Stand, that we're just, you know, we're going to kind of steamroll over, you know, kind of this big epic battle that should take place, and this is just getting uncomfortable to wear. And getting to the next point of the argument, I guess, if you will. Because, you know, we have kind of the final showdown in the Southwest, in which, you know, Kitty and her band of, you know, her not-so-merry band of mutants are basically, they're fighting back against the Sentinels. Now, this is going, you know, the writing and everything like that is going pretty smooth sailing, and then all of a sudden we get to about page, I don't know, like 18 or something like that, and then there's a different artist that's brought, and it's like, what the, and the art is not good. So it was like that, again, because, you know, I get the sense, you know, I get it, you know, you gotta keep, you know, banging the stuff out, you gotta put it out there, gotta get the money, gotta get the issues sold, and you gotta make your deadlines. I can appreciate that. But if it comes at the cost of making a really good comic, don't do it. You know, I've said it before, I'll say it again, I would rather have a book be a week late or 2 weeks late and have really awesome art on every page than to have, you know, someone come in whose style just doesn't match up with what we've been reading before, and, you know, with Carlo Barbieri, you know, who's doing such a great job in the first, like, 2/3 of the book, and then the last third is just like, Brian Wood, like I said, he's definitely getting his message of what he wants to do going forward out there, as opposed to really kind of giving this climax really its due by giving really good character beats, you know, of the other X-Men, because we get a lot of Kitty, we get a lot of Fury, and we get a lot of Captain America, and a little bit with Rogue, and a little bit with Quentin Quire, that I don't fully understand, and it just, that to me felt really rushed, because what is, you know, okay, basically, story is, they fight the Sentinels, they win. Yay. And, like, instead of having an epic, sprawling quality, where there's these big battles and these cool character moments of the other X-Men, it's just, you know, it's mostly, it's Kitty's show, you know, and Fury stepping in, you know, kind of when you know, when the storm has quieted, and basically, okay, here's where you're going to go from here. You know, because there's a new president in town, and his name is Captain America, and he's going to talk to you and see where to go in the future. And of course, Captain America here comes off as kind of a dick. He is basically saying, you know, I will, you know, I understand you people have suffered. I want you to have, you know, I want you to have, you know, some part of the world that you can call your own. And, you know, Kitty totally realizes that this is just kind of his way, it's kind of political pandering to them. And she's, you know, and the thought is, well, you know, are we going to have, you know, now that we've just fought this, you know, this enemy without, do we have kind of this enemy within kind of the superhuman community, you know, that is actually the powers that be now? Are mutants still going to be marginalized? Are they still going to be treated like second-class citizens? You know, of course, the promises are made that that won't happen, but, you know, you get the feeling that Wood is basically trying to say, you know, is basically kind of holding Kitty up as not really, you know, no longer, I mean, kind of a soldier in the fight, but a real leader and almost a revolutionary leader. So I like that direction, but like I just think it came too quick. So it's like there's that. There's the. I feel like this could have been one whole issue. You know, the discussion between these two. So where we're going from here is a really interesting place to go, and I have full faith in Wood pulling this off. But I just hope that it doesn't have that really jerky, sudden art change. Really, it hurt the momentum of the book, and it just hurt how the book looked because the other artist wasn't that good. So 4 out of 5 for a decidedly solid effort. But again, just didn't quite work in all the places that I think it needed to. Wow, yeah, not a lot of Marvel this week. Okay, so let's hit the independents. First one I'm going to talk about is Angel and Faith, number 15. This was a book I almost missed. It's a good thing that my shop set one aside for me, but because I completely forgot it was coming out this week. Basically what we have here is those of you who are reading and keeping up, and of course who know the characters involved. You know, we've got this is kind of the story of Whistler. And, you know, Whistler, of course, going back to, you know, the very beginnings of the Angel television series. That, you know, Whistler was, you know, and also, I believe, appeared on Buffy a couple of times. You know, he's one of the agents of the powers that be. No, this happened way before. What am I thinking of? This happened, way before Angel, the TV series, because you know then of course Doyle was kind of an agent of the powers that be. Not really, but we get kind of his origin story, and we see how powerful he is. That he is truly not someone to be fucked with. Because he is an agent of the powers that be, but he is also the agent of demons because he is, and this is where it kind of disappointed me because it felt like this had been ripped from the pages of Preacher, is that he is the spawn of one of the powers that be and a demon. You know, we get that, and basically, you know, his whole thing about he's really pissed off with Angel because, you know, he had this power to create this whole new universe that people could live in. It would be a mix of science and magic and angel and demon, and, you know, it would just be this, you know, kind of wonderland. But so many people were going to die in that kind of transition. You know, so many people would have been left back on Earth just to die. So that's why, you know, ultimately Buffy and Angel didn't really go for it. Of course, this was, you know, Buffy destroying the seed of magic, and you know, of course, you know, Angel snapping Giles' neck. So we gotta get his origin story, and that also leads off to the origin story of Pearl and Nash. You know, our kind of, you know, almost albino-y twins, and we see how exactly they were brought about. You know, this was during the Dust Bowl. I think this was in Kansas, Dust Bowl. You know, and during the Great Depression, and you know, woman basically raises a demon. The demon, you know, in order to impregnate her, she wants to have more children because she's lost her whole family. So she has Pearl and Nash, and they have these, you know, of course, incredibly powerful supernatural powers. And here's where this again kind of lost me, is that I found the story of them really compelling, but the art, because this is kind of it's kind of a 3-act book, and at a certain point, and I hate to say this about someone who I honestly thought was a really excellent creator, but who's just gone to shit, and that's David Lapham. He is all about the gore now. He's all about the, eviscerations and the insanity and so on and so forth. And it just kind of sickened me. It's like, because I read the second and third volumes of Crossed, with Family Values and Psychopath. And after that, I'm just like, fuck it. I'm not reading this shit anymore until his name is off of it. So I know that they're doing chapters of like weekly digital chapters, I believe, with I think Jamie Delano and Garth Ennis, and I think David Lapham is one of the people that's still doing it. And his shit was just too fucking crazy. It was too disgusting. It became more about kind of the gross factor rather than telling a story like Garth Ennis was in the first run of Crossed. So, and again, that just it just kind of disappointed me. I just thought that he would kind of come out of the Avatar Press way of doing things and kind of hop on board and say, okay, you know what, I can kind of tone it down. No, he can't. I mean, yes, this is not for mature readers, but it almost might as well have been. So, the story of Pearl and Nash is interesting, and their mother and so on and so forth, and, what Angel has to think about, because, Whistler is still basically putting on the table, look, we can still make this happen, but, about 2 billion people are going to die in order to make this happen, because this is survival of the fittest, man. And in order to get to a place where we can all coexist peaceably, then billions are going to have to die. So it was an interesting story. I mean, Gage wrote, I think, a really solid script. But like I said, just from this was kind of a one-off. But this is obviously going to be part of the series going forward. Here is that Whistler and Pearl and Nash are going to be a threat to Angel and Faith. So this is about a 3.5 out of 5. Like I said, I mean, it's really solidly written, but the art, particularly by David Lapham, okay. So moving along, Happy #2 by Grant Morrison and Derek Robertson. This was a book I did read the first issue of, and I actually enjoyed, even though it felt very, very Ennis-y. Again, I'm going back to Garth Ennis here. It felt like literally this was not something that Grant Morrison ever would have written. It felt this was not his voice. This was, it's a lot of fucks and cunts. I mean, it just felt like, and I'm sorry if anybody was offended by me saying that word. I'm referring to it in kind of the British way of using the word cunt, which is the only way that I think it's really acceptable. Best example, watch either Hot Fuzz or Shaun of the Dead. Greatest uses of the word cunt ever, because it's funny. And also Kill Bill Volume 2 has a really good cunt. So I'm so sorry, I really am. So I'm going to stop saying it now. So it's just, it's vulgar, it's extremely violent, and I was intrigued. And it's like, and then all of a sudden here comes this blue horse, this little tiny cartoony blue horse. I'm like, what the hell is this? And that was kind of the basis of where this story was going to go from here, is that this is, in fact, a little blue horse that does, it's an imaginary blue horse, but it's not, Nick, our main character, is not his imagination, it is someone else's, this little girl who's been abducted. And, he's, Nick, he's got eczema. So basically, the whole book, it was just like, the first issue I probably would have given 4 out of 5 to. I was really intrigued to see where it was going to go from here, because Happy, the horse, is not introduced until the last couple of pages. and this is just wall to wall Morrison going, you know, it's basically, this is what I think Grant Morrison's life is really like. I think not all the killing and the badassery that goes on. I think that there's literally some kind of thing in his head where he sees this, you know, he sees all of these different things all day. Because everything by Grant Morrison now is just this big, massive hallucinatory nightmare. You know, as you know, and this started really with, you know, with his run on Batman, and it was just like, I cannot trust this dude anymore, except for All-Star Superman. It was the only thing that I could get behind, so this, again, we are descending into this hallucinatory kind of, you know, just fucked up world. And I'm sure that there's a lot of people that can get behind it. I mean, Grant Morrison, okay, and I do have to segue here. This is something I do want to talk about. Probably I'll do a vlog maybe later this week about comic book resources. They remember the top 10 creative run video that I did a while back? Well, they finally tallied all the votes, and the votes were in. And I want to talk more about that list. But the one writer on this entire list that got more votes than anybody else was Grant Morrison. So to me, that just, I know obviously people get off on his stuff. I got off on his stuff for a really long time. But now it's just, but there was a line, I guess. There's a line with Grant Morrison that I just can't cross. I loved All-Star Superman. Thought it was great. Thought he did a really excellent job with that series. Hated his run on Batman. Hated it, hated it, hated it. Like his stuff on Doom Patrol. I don't get it. Flex Mentallo. I don't get it. The Invisibles. I didn't really like it. But then, you know, there's his run on Animal Man, which is fucking brilliant. And there's his work, of course, on Arkham Asylum, which is genius. So it's like there's a certain point where I just have to say, no mas. I just, you know, I just kind of have to wait until I hear really, really, really good things about a more accessible Grant Morrison story. That's never been what he's about, but just something that gets me involved on an emotional level, because that's what some of these series that he worked on did have for me. So until I reach that point again, I'm pretty much swearing off Grant Morrison work. So this was a 2 out of 5. Derek Robertson's art is fantastic. It's great. But again, it's just like, I don't care about what's going on here. Because it's getting too fucking weird again. Fatale, number 9. This was a book, it was weird because I read on Twitter that I read a tweet from Brubaker saying that this was his favorite issue of the series thus far. And I would say it's actually kind of one of the weaker issues of this series. It's not, I mean, by no means is it bad. Okay? It's not even disappointing. It's good, but for some reason it didn't pull me in. There seems to be a lot of exposition here, and, you know, like a lot of, you know, ideas, a lot of kind of half-baked plans kind of coming into the fold. I liked the party scene. You know, there's little Easter eggs that Sean Phillips threw in, and of course, once again, his art is terrific. You know, the tale of Susie Scream apparently brought to a somewhat abrupt end. We have this very disturbing moment with Hansel. Well, which moments aren't disturbing, but a particularly disturbing page with Hansel. You know, we have, you know, our erstwhile hero, you know, really kind of discovering that, yes, there is something about Josephine that is making him act differently. Because, you know, he was a coke fiend, he was, you know, just, you know, was always making the wrong decisions. Now all of a sudden he finds himself doing kind of the good and true and honest thing for the you know, and being concerned about people that he wouldn't have otherwise given two shits about. So, I mean, you know, as we had in the first arc, we had, you know, how Josephine can bring out kind of the bad in people. In this one, we're seeing continuingly how she's actually bringing out, like, what's better in him. So, I mean, that part of it is really, really appealing to me. And the whole issue itself, like I said, I mean, it's certainly not bad. I mean, Sean Phillips' art is great. The script is very well written. I mean, it's very well constructed, but there was nothing that happened that was like, oh, man, I really need to read the next issue here. So, you know, and Brubaker's really good at that. He's really good at doing that kind of stuff. Doing the kind of bigger moments, you know, the kind of the cool reveals at the end, what have you. So this was a 4 out of 5. I enjoyed it. Like I said, I mean, it's a really solid read. It just didn't pull me in as much as I expected it to, and maybe that has to do with reading that tweet. I don't know. And speaking of, okay, Twitter. This is my cell phone. See? This is my cell phone. That's Nathan Fillion as 007. This is basically, it's just a big, it's a very tiny tablet right now because due to monetary reasons, I have switched back to the good old flip phone. See, I actually have here my, this is the Dark Knight Nokia 7205. So this is back from 2008. So good old-fashioned flip phone because I needed to really cut the shit out of my phone bill, and there's no way in hell that my wife is giving up her iPhone. So she's actually going to be on TV this week about that. Go figure. Yeah, she's going to be on our local news about basically the new phobia that is creeping up in society, which is that of being without your cell phone. Literally is now becoming, I don't know if this is like a DSM thing, where people are actually classifying this as a phobia, but yes, fear of being without your cell phone. So she's going to be interviewed this, I think, Wednesday. So I don't know, maybe I'll TiVo it and I'll put it up online or something like that so you guys can see it. I don't know. But if you're living in the Arizona, the Phoenix, the greater Phoenix area, you might just see my wife. And I almost wish that they would interview me so that I could say, yes, it's annoying that she has to have her fucking phone with her all the time. So I won't be able to read Twitter as much. I will be able to, when I'm at work, I have no Wi-Fi. I have no access to Twitter through my computer. No social networking sites are available except when I go into the break room. And that's, you know, hardly enough time to do anything worthwhile there. So anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, I was talking about comic books. So left off with Fatale. American Vampire, number 32. Wow. There's definitely some shit I did not see coming here. So we have the reemergence of Hattie, who we thought died back in, I think, issue 5 or issue 6. But she is indeed alive. She did survive that that gold star being driven into her face. Now she's got this huge, almost kind of smiley scar, because the gold, of course, with the American Vampire never quite heals. And this is kind of her story. This is kind of her story on how she came back. So it was it was exposition heavy, but in the hands of Scott Snyder, and because it is such a really interesting revelation here, it really worked. It was a really terrific read, to read how she kind of came from, that Block basically, helped her kind of gain another foothold, and how she's, always held Pearl in particularly hostile regard ever, of course, since that time. And there's some massive reveals that I don't want to spoil here if you haven't read it yet. But like I said, a lot of shit that I did not see coming. Just great work throughout. If this had been kind of a lesser week, this would definitely be a pick of the week. This was a terrific reading, from start to finish. Raphael Albuquerque, it's really amazing. If you go back to some of the first issues of this comic, not so great. It's really good. It's very sketchy. It's very liney. But it's really being brought out now, and his art is like in full force right now, and it's breathtaking to behold. He really knows how to construct a page. Very much a 4.5 out of 5 for American Vampire number 32. I have not read all of Lord of Nightmares yet. It's one of those things that I'm working on affording. Although I heard that it wasn't so great, which is why I'm a little bit hesitant to pick it up. Damn it. Oh, my fucking lighter left me. Shit. There it is. I found it. I got it. Don't worry. I'll be able to poison myself. Is that it for the... Yeah. So, now on to... Yes? No. Yes, DC. Okay, this is the one I'm going to talk about, just totally at a whim. I read it in the store, didn't buy it. I wanted to, though. But read it in the shop because my shop is cool like that. And that was Masters of the Universe, The Origin of Skeletor one-shot. Only reason that I would even dream of reading this is that Joshua Hale Fialkoff was writing it. So I'm like, okay, I'll give it a shot. And wow. Very surprising. Now, I am not in the least... Well, okay, when I was a kid, yeah, I liked He-Man. But now I could really care less. I don't remember half the shit that went on. You could name me to ask... You could ask me to tell you like 5 different characters from that show, and I would draw a total fucking blank. There was like Merman, there was He-Man, there was She-Ra, there was Skeletor, and there was the Battle Lion. Whatever. I don't remember his real name. I keep thinking of Snarf, but no, that was Thundercats, wasn't it? I don't know. I get my '80s cartoons mixed up. But this is, it's the origin of Skeletor, and it's a really well told tale. And if I knew what was going on, I would probably be more emotionally invested in it. First of all, the art by Fraser Irving is fantastic. It is really, and this is kind of not for kids, but it kind of is. I mean, it's very, it has a crossover appeal. you know, that it's kind of, you know, this, you know, kids can read this and be really creeped out. And adults can read it and be really creeped out, because this was a really creepy issue. This was freaky. It was, you know, I mean, just as we see who Skeletor was, and, you know, kind of the increasing decrepitude of his face and everything like that, you know, as it goes through all these different periods in his life, as he kind of stumbles towards his destiny. And that's really what the book was. Incredible, you know, just really, really well written, beautiful art. This was a 4 out of 5, and I don't care about He-Man at all. So, I mean, it's not like the 4s I've been giving to, like, Captain America and Black Widow because of Francesco Francovia's art. This had writing and art, but it was ultimately for a character that I you know, for a universe that I know nothing about anymore. If you asked me to read this back in 1985, I probably would have said, oh man, this is the most awesome thing ever. But I'm just not a He-Man guy, I guess. I never really was. And maybe that's why I am the way I am now. I don't know. But it was a 4 out of 5. If you get the chance to take a peek at it, take a peek at it. I think you'll like it. So, moving along. Aquaman, number 13. This was the only, this was like the only number 13 that I picked up this week. And a really solid kind of finale to the arc of the others. Of course, Ivan Reis doing some great art, although, if my understanding is correct, he is not going to be returning after this issue, because he'll be busy working with Jeff Johns again on the totally unnecessary and totally non-desirable Justice League of America. So anyway, we have, you know, basically, I mean, what we would think would be, okay, well, you know, it's kind of been leading up to the final confrontation between Black Manta and Aquaman. But there's a certain point in which was a really, really nice moment that Johns crafted throughout as this arc had progressed, that, you know, Black Manta is going to die. You know, he's been killed, you know, he's, you know, been killing my friends, you know, he's been killing other members of the, he's been killing the others, you know, he's just being a total, you know, he's being a motherfucking bad guy, you know, and he's, and being a very vicious bad guy. So, I mean, it was interesting to, it was interesting for Aquaman to kind of have this moment where it's like, I'm actually kind of not liking where I am right now. This is not very heroic of me. I'm just kind of, I'm not, you know, I'm not necessarily in search of doing the right thing. I'm wanting to do kind of the quick, the easy way out. I'm wanting to do the revenge trip, and I'm not about that. That's not what I should be. And so for him to have that realization was very important for the character, especially in going forward. Because if this had kind of turned out the way that you expect it to, I think it would have been a big letdown. But no, it actually, it makes a bit of a left turn, but not too radical of a left turn that it's like, wait, what the fuck is this? No, it's actually, it's really smart, really well done. 4 out of 5 for Aquaman number 13. If you haven't been reading it, I think it's, you know, it's definitely, I mean, these first couple arcs are definitely worth reading. I don't know, I will really, really, really miss Ivan Reis, though, because he's such a great artist. So, moving on from there. Is it Ivan Reis? Or is it... No, I think it is. Yeah, I don't know. He's doing something else. I don't even know anymore. I'm so lost. I heard that he was leaving this book, so that's that. Batgirl Annual #1. This is another example this week of a really well-told story, but then, whoa, what an amazing art shift. Because we had this this artist, Admira Wijawa, who does, again, most of this book, does the first 26 pages, and they're gorgeous. I mean, they are, I think it's mostly digital work that he's doing here, but it looks fantastic. It's eye-popping, it's vivid, and basically, this is coming out of the Batgirl during Night of the Owls crossover, where she was dealing with the bombs that were falling out of the sky, and this one, this little girl that was the survivor of the one coastal town in, I think up in Washington or Oregon or something like that, that did get hit with the bombs. And Batgirl's kind of working with her Dustin, I think it is, that's lost his leg to Nightfall, and her gang of psychos. And but in the interim, here comes Catwoman, and Catwoman has been paid to break this young Talon out of prison. And she, of course, she doesn't speak. She's constantly bandaged, but she is, kind of eternal. She will never die, because they have all the kind of cryogenics running through her body and everything like that. So it was just it was a really well written issue, because eventually, of course, we do get to a point where, well, is Batgirl going to fight Catwoman because of this girl, or is this girl going to kind of be protected because she's very still childlike, and she's being kind of summarily abused in the wherever they have her locked up. I don't know if it's Blackgate or not, but it was just, it was really well done. And then in the last, 27 pages or something like, 27 through whatever 38 that this is, you have the not so good art. And again, it just throws the whole thing out of whack. And here's where we're having, here's the big fight sequence, and it's like, man, why, let's waste the kind of not so good artist on the stuff that's kind of, more expository, and let's put the really good artist to work where we want the really good art, which is like the action stuff, the ass-kicking stuff. And it just didn't, of course, didn't hit that for me. So, this was a 4 out of 5. I mean, like I said, Gail Simone continues to do a really good job on this series. I wish that she was doing more work at DC. Hello? Are you out there? Are you listening? Gail Simone needs to be writing more titles. And this is apparently, I think this is going to be continued in Birds of Prey, if I read that correctly. Again, solid stuff. 4 out of 5 for Batgirl Annual #1. Swamp Thing Annual #1. So here we open up with the declaration by Swamp Thing, by Alec Holland, Abigail Arcane is not dead. And then the Parliament of Trees, the little tiny Parliament of Trees, of course, this is during Rot World, but this is not part of the Rot World tale. We have basically a bit of a one-off, which is, it's kind of how annuals should be. Is that it segues away from the main thread of the story in order to either allow you to catch up or to kind of continue the story, but in a kind of slanted way, which is exactly what Snyder does. Is that basically what we have here is that it begins in Rot World, and the Parliament of Trees decides that it's time that he learns the truth about something that he forgot as Alec Holland, and that is the first time that he met Abigail Arcane, which is when he went to her village in the Carpathian Mountains, which had been affected by this this radioactive fallout of what I'm not entirely sure, but was sent at the behest, and he's still a student at this time. He's just a botanist student, and he's being sent there at the request of none other than Abby's uncle, Anton. What a nice guy he is. And basically we get some really disturbing moments with Anton Arcane, and we get this kind of really moving and beautiful love story, burgeoning love story between Alec and Abby. And of course it's all fucked up by Anton Arcane, because there's this plant that is growing there, but it's necrotic. Why? There's some amazing moments in here, some really nice reveals, and we are treated to mostly Becky Cloonan's art. And again, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure that Yannick Paquette could have pulled this off, but to get that kind of vibe that they were going for in this issue, just like Snyder did with Cloonan in Batman number 13, where they're going for a very different kind of look, a very different kind of feel to the issue, because this is more of kind of a love story. It's not a dark, very. It's not. Basically, Yannick Paquette. This is something that suits Becky Cloonan's work better. Is the best thing that I can say about it. I mean, of course, no offense whatsoever to Yannick Paquette, who is just is killing it on Swamp Thing. He's amazing. But Becky Cloonan's art just works so much better here, and for this type of story. Where this will play out from here, again, I'm not sure. Because the whole idea of Rot World really is kind of scrambling my brain. Is that because I don't know where it's going from here. I don't know how they're going to either solve the problems that are coming, or what's going to happen. And so, I mean, my eyes are wide fucking open for the whole Rot World series. I'm so enamored of this idea, because it really, not only is it incredibly well told, but it really keeps you coming back for more. Because you need to see how this plays out. Because yes, this is 1 year in the future that Rot World is set. But just going back to this issue. Lovely art, really, really well told story, and just for a few moments, it just kind of, I don't know, kind of took me out, and then it pulled me back in, and then it kind of took me out again, kind of pulled me back in, and so it felt a little off kilter at some points, which is why this is absolutely a 4.5 out of 5, edging close to 5. Again, would have been one of my picks of the week normally, but just didn't quite make the cut, because there is some really, really excellent stuff that did come out this week, and that's where I'm going right now. So here are picks of the week. So we're first going to start with one that you're going to laugh at, and that's fine. I don't care if you laugh. And that is digital only, and it's Batman Lil Gotham #1. And this is Derek Fridolis and Dustin Nguyen's little kind of love letter to the characters of Gotham, and he's I don't have a whole lot to say about this other than spend the 99 cents, get this issue digitally. It is so awesome, and it's so adorable. I mean, because you have Batman and Robin, you have Damian, and Damian, it's Halloween because all of the Little Gotham issues are going to revolve around holidays. So we're going to get one next for Thanksgiving. Next one we're probably going to get is for Christmas. Next one maybe will be, I don't know, New Year's. But there will be, not every month, but for as long as this goes on, I'm totally fucking on board, because it was just so awesome. Because just watching Damian kind of, hearing the stories about how he used to celebrate Halloween, and then him trying to grasp the idea of, okay, well, Halloween is a night that you dress up and you get candy. And him trying to figure that out in his own head is just, it's fun, it's really entertaining, it's incredibly cute. Dustin Nguyen, his art is just phenomenal in this issue. So I mean, it's 99 cents that is totally worth your investment, because it really is that good. It's a wonderful, wonderful little tale, and it's an absolute 5 out of 5. This was gorgeous. It was wonderful. Loved it. Loved it. Loved it. Next up is Winter Soldier #12. This, so good. Because there were some parts where the art, but for the most part, we are heading really into the darkness now. We are full-on espionage that just happens to take place with superheroes. Because what we've had, where we left off with the last issue, is that the deal to get Black Widow back, the deal to get Natasha back that Bucky has to take, is he has to program himself with this unfortunately uncrackable hard drive, in which he will be programmed to become the old Winter Soldier once again. Not the friendly American Winter Soldier, very much the assassin Winter Soldier. And here we kind of have, Wolverine is kind of one of the stars here, and he's busy tracking Bucky. And we have some wonderful moments in which Wolverine is actually surprised, because he's forgotten how good the Winter Soldier is when he's really bringing his full bag of tricks. I mean, that he's actually better when he's bad. That there's a kind of respect there for him. And of course, there's a lot of discussion about mind control, because, again, and I read on Comics Alliance, I read the interview that Brubaker gave about, and I actually tweeted him about, and he sent a tweet back to me about the whole kind of mind control, because it is very much a plot device that Brubaker loves to use. Mind control is just a big thing, but it's been a big thing of the Captain America universe. So I get it. That's what he kind of sent back to me, because I think that he was, I think that he felt when I talked about it that it was kind of, I was making it derogatory. No, I'm not. I'm absolutely not. Because in this universe, it works. It works well for the most part. But you know, here about, you know, and we have Wolverine kind of talking about what it's like to be mind controlled, that you're kind of watching yourself doing these things that you can't imagine that you'd ever do, or that you should be doing, you know that you're not supposed to be doing, but you can't help it. Because, you know, obviously we've seen that a number of times with Wolverine. The most glaring example, of course, to me, is Wolverine Enemy of the State, the great Mark Millar, John Romita Jr. arc, and of course then Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is the only arc of Wolverine that I've ever collected in my life. And it was fantastic, but it really just... the twists and turns that this book has are just tremendous. And again, I don't want to give too much away, because the target that Nabokov sets for the Winter Soldier is not political; it's personal. And we have a returning Brubaker character that I really love to see him write. And it may go against the grain for some people who are reading this particular hero's current run, but that's okay. You'll get over it. Really a 5 out of 5. There were some moments where I felt that, you know, maybe the inking or the coloring was a little bit mismatched. You know, like, because you have his, you know, domino mask kind of, it looks really askew in certain places. I'm talking about Bucky. But just, you know, really excellent character beats, almost all the way through. Really great, dark, really, you know, very moody art. Just really terrific stuff. Terrific stuff. One of my favorite issues of this run so far. So it's just, it's really excellent. 5 out of 5, absolutely, for Winter Soldier number 12. Then moving along, not surprisingly great, but this was just, yeah, I mean, it was surprisingly great, and that is Ultimate Spider-Man number 16.1. Yes, the first .1 issue of the Ultimate Universe, where basically there's no Spider-Man. Spider-Man does not have a role to play in this issue, because this is all about the journey of Betty Brant. Now, set up here. I don't know how in the past, because I don't remember too much of Bendis's previous run on this book, but apparently in the past there's been some issues with Betty Brant being a reporter, that she's kind of fucked up. I mean, not personality-wise, although an argument certainly could be made for that here. Basically what she's doing here is that she is trying to figure out who is this new Spider-Man. And, you know, the rest of the Bugle staff, including J. Jonah Jameson, which again, this is where I'm not so clued in on, he is very against the idea of running a story that will potentially put a hero in harm's way, because they want to feel that they've learned something from the death of Peter Parker. And what we have here is Betty just being kind of a real bitch throughout, and then just essentially being very kind of opportunistic, being very selfish, just only looking out for number one, baby. And she discovers the spider, because she does visit the apartment of the Prowler, now vacant, and she discovers the spider underneath one of the floorboards. and there's some pretty, I mean, for those of us who are scared of spiders, some kind of disturbing moments there, even though we know it's dead, but it's like, it's so fucking huge. And she starts to put two and two together, but comes up with the wrong answer in regards to who exactly Spider-Man is. And J. Jonah Jameson basically says, no, I'm not running this story. I'm not going to do it because at best, you're ruining a family's life and you're potentially destroying a superhero. And at worst, I don't even want to think about what's worse. So she is gone. She's gone with the evidence. She's gone with everything. And then, holy shit. And this is what makes it, and this is what all 0.1 issues should have been like, is that they should revolve around peripheral characters that have, and this is really interesting because I read a review of this that echoed very similar thoughts of mine. I think it was on Comic Book Resources, where it's like there are two Brian Bendises. There's the one who does, shit like Avengers versus X-Men, and then there's the one who does, like, to me, does like New Avengers and does, like the really great issues of New Avengers, does books like Alias, and then does Ultimate Spider-Man, which he's so amazing on. And really hasn't missed a beat. But this one is just, this is definitely one of the best issues of this run, absolutely. This is what every kind of issue one should be like. David Marquez back on art, amazing work from him, of course. And it's just, it's an absolute joy and shocking joy to read, because it does end like, oh my god. So just excellent work, absolute 5 out of 5. So we've got 2 more to go. I swear to God I was going to get this in as under an hour, but you know me. This was kind of a tough one. But runner-up was Rocketeer, Cargo of Doom, number 3. This, again, the only one of you I know that's out there that's reading this right now, if I'm understanding correctly, is Agent 42Q. So keep it up, buddy. You got the right stuff, because, I mean, this is Mark Waid and Chris Samney. I mean, all you guys who are loving Daredevil with these two on it, why aren't you reading this? Get your comic store to order it. Do whatever you need to do. Buy the back issues. This is not rocket science. This is great fucking comic book writing and great fucking comic book art. It's great comic book storytelling. So where we left off with the previous issue is that we learned that, yes, there are fucking dinosaurs being brought into LA Harbor through this very mysterious master. And they got these dinosaurs from... It's never explicitly said, yes, this is where they're from. But anyone who's a fan of the era, is a fan of maybe of even famous filmmaking from that era, from the 30s, will also pick up on some of this. Let's just cut to the chase. It's Skull Island. Yes, Kong, dinosaurs. So instead of bringing back Kong, they brought back fucking dinosaurs. And, Cliff, using a bit of his kind of street-smartish ingenuity, gets himself out of kind of a sticky wicket of being kind of mashed into paste by some dinosaurs and the guys that are on board this boat. And the mystery man, this master, he seems to have it's almost inferred that he has almost kind of a mental power over over his crew on this boat. But of course, unfortunately, see, Cliff, for everything that he does right, there's something equally wrong that he does. This guy can never catch a break, because basically, he sets off the jetpack inside, and of course it sets some crates on fire, and we have stampeding dinosaurs spilling out onto the bay. The one place where this book kinda got to me a little bit is they're making Betty out to be a little bit too much of kind of a bitch. That she there seems to be method to her madness, and there's a moment with her and Peavy, back at the hangar, and then in comes Sally and the Fed that kind of is both sticking up for and kind of knocking out Cliff. And somehow Betty's got it in her head that because she doesn't have as much in common with Cliff as Sally does, because Sally is she's a pilot and everything like that, so she sees some competition, so she seems to be very focused on the negative aspects of it, rather than just kind of being more self-assured. And it's ultimately what I thought about this. Instead of it just being her being characterized as a bitch, she's being characterized as human. She's getting jealous, so she's kind of acting out. She's a little immature. I mean, Betty's never been the picture of maturity, but certainly neither is Cliff. Again, and then we have really what's going on here is the harbor scene, in which firefighters have come out, they're trying to battle the fire, and here come these fucking dinosaurs. And there's something in a crate, basically a very strange kind of final request from the guy that was just trying to kill Cliff, is to get his crew out safely, but also that there's something in one of the crates that might help him. And indeed there is. And that's where it gets really fun and cool, and even more fun and cool than it already was. So it's like we're fully in pulp mode here. We've got obviously flying men, we've got dinosaurs, and now we've got like death rays. It's like, oh. And Chris Samnee's art is just so awesome here. I mean, it's particularly like when he's using onomatopoeia to give the sound effects and everything like that, and it's kind of like drawn on, as opposed to just seeing the okay, here's the jet of flame. No, the jet of flame actually creates kind of the sound effect, and when the engine is kind of sputtering out on the jetpack, the smoke is creating the letters. I mean, to me, that's just ingenious work, and really sticks to the thread of this comic, is that it's bringing fun into the whole story. It's injecting just this extra bit of fun, and that is one of the reasons that I'm so psyched that this is this is a thing, that Rocketeer from Mark Waid and Chris Samnee actually exists. So I mean, just really a 5 out of 5. Again, great issue, but not top of the list this week. Top of the list this week ultimately goes to Justice League Dark Annual #1. This story, this particular issue, this is a fucking annual. This is a big $4.99 worth every penny of your hard-earned money comic, because it is epic. I mean, it is the whole kind of, you know, because this is literally stretching right out of Justice League Dark number 13. And so 1 week later, we've got the kind of finale to this arc. And, you know, Lemire writing and Mikhail Janin doing the art. Oh, man. And, I mean, we have everybody. Here comes Frankenstein. You know, he's, you know, obviously his book no longer existing. Sucks, but it happens. So, you know, so here he comes. Now I'm coming on the Justice League Dark, baby. And we just have everybody. We have Andrew Bennett. Now, of course, we have a little disclaimer here. Here's Andrew Bennett before, you know, like issue 9 of iVampire. Because, you know, especially in issue 12, it gets really hairy. You know, so we have all of the forces of the Justice League Dark fighting, and we see how they were formed initially. And it's all been part of Nick Necro's kind of secret plan, his secret evil plan to get at the books of magic. And, you know, we have, again, these great twists, these great turns, these, you know, we have Faust and Dr. Mist and, you know, Constantine and Z and all the JLD, you know, facing off against one another, and, you know, magic and just mind-blowingly, you know, awesome moments, and just, you know, and Blackbriar Thorn, and I mean, it's just like, oh, I mean, this is so awesome from beginning to end. There's just, it never lets go of your nuts. It just, it's got you, and it's pulling, and it's like, you are loving this. I mean, a wow of a finale. You know, the kind of the climax of this book's like, you know, because we have Tim Hunter coming back onto the scene, and, you know, kind of the, you know, just, I mean, everything kind of going on here is just, it's just amazing. This was just a fantastically told tale, great art. I mean, just everything about this annual worked. Now, I shouldn't say this was a great annual, because annuals usually do not stretch out of the current ongoing storyline, but again, what they've done here is that they've made an annual, well, they've made a, a double-sized issue that is worth being double-sized, because it is so epic in scope, because it does have this epic battle between good and evil, and it does have all of the JLD members, with the exception of, like, Shade the Changing Man, who I don't care about anyway, so good riddance. But, you know, I mean, just facing off against Nick Necro, and, you know, it was just so awesome. I mean, it was just awesome. I mean, that's the only word that I can, I mean, it was awesome. It was awe-inspiring. You know, I mean, I always knew Lemire was a great writer, and I heard that he was going to be leaving this book, but then I was watching Sleepy Reader, and I understand that he's not going to be leaving the book now, which is really awesome news, because I desperately don't want him to leave this book, because this is rapidly becoming one of my favorite books of the New 52. So please don't go. It's too good for you to go, so don't go. So yeah, pick of the week, Justice League Dark Annual number 1, an absolute perfect 5 out of 5 from moi. So that is it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to go do something else now. So again, thanks for watching. whether or not I will be keeping the name of New Comics Bitches, or whether or not I will be changing it to the Comic Book Road Trip Master, because I got a response from one of you out there saying that they're happy that when I do these videos, because wherever they're going to, by the time they get there, which must be really fucking far, they've been able to listen to my whole video, been able to watch my whole video, and that makes me very happy. So yes, I'm the perfect guy that you go to for your long road trips, as far as if you want to hear about comics. So that's me. I'm the road trip guy for all your comics needs. So I dug that. I dug that comment. So thank you for that. And so yeah, that's it for this week. So again, thanks for coming by. If you're new, please subscribe. Thumb it up, thumb it down, comments, critiques, criticisms, complaints. Let's hear what you got to say. And like I said, I'm sure that I'll be back at some point this week with a vlog about the 10 best as determined by thousands of voters through comicbookresources.com. And we'll see which of mine made it on there, maybe if any of yours made it on there. And I'm sure we'll have some interesting conversations about that. And maybe also this week sometime we will get another edition of Cat's Comics Corner, which would be really fun. So until then, again, thank you for watching and for putting up with me for all this time. And it's me, James Donnelly, from the Shadow Gallery, now signing off and reminding you, as always, to stay in the shadows.